Hello, Travis here, and welcome back to Factorio Space Age. In the last episode, we put together this fine and dandy nuclear reactor, which produces a admittedly very overkill amount of power. But this is honestly a good thing because for one, it means that all these laser turrets that are lining our perimeter can now be going on all cylinders if we have attacks coming in from all, and the base won't properly black out as a result. And ignore the fact that these flamethrowers aren't actually hooked into the VO lines yet. I'll get to that later, because that's not the point of this episode. Today, we're going to be embarking on the reason why we built this reactor, so we could leave the base behind and go to distant planets. Excuse these technologies. I was just trying to get some handcrafted yellow science, and I'll go over yellow science when I have later when it becomes more relevant. But know that we are going to be taking a look at some of these technologies. Now, yes, we are finally going to be starting to make a spaceship today. I know for a fact that I'm not going to be making the whole thing, but as we finish our next space platform starter pack, we will be and I think I would need to so in case you're not wondering, if in case you're still pretty in the unknowing of what Space Age is about, Space Age adds a bunch of new planets, 4 specifically. They're the 5th one, but we might not even see that planet in this series. We'll see. But anyway, we can't. Speaking of, we can't even drop down to that planet. But the reasons why is not relevant to this discussion. To start making our spaceship, however, we need the space platform thruster, which allows us to go to other planets. And it gives us a singular thing, the thruster. It's honestly a pretty cheap thing, but more importantly, it gives us gives us an unlock for free critical researches. Planet discovery for Vulcanus, Gleba, and Fulgora. You might notice I've already pre-queued 2 of these up. Now, I'm gonna before we get into the crafting of any spaceships, I want to briefly go over what my kind of plan is for what we call the inner planets, because the Factorio solar system is made up of 5 planets. Novice, which is the one we're on, and then there's 3 planets that are Novice is the closest one to the solar to the star in the in Novice's solar system, and then Beyond that, there are free planets, which are the free that I just named, that are unlocked via the space platform. All three of these are going to be necessary to proceed to the outer planet, Aquilo. But one of the neat things about Factorio is that they're really, in a hindsight sense, there is no reason to pick one planet over the other. Although there's there. So you might notice I've queued up Volcanus and Fulgora, but not Gleba. What's going on there? Well, this is kind of the teeing up order of how I wanted to explore the planets. And to kind of explain that, let me talk about Volcanus. Volcanus is, honestly, it's pretty self-descriptive. It's a lava planet. There's gonna be lava all across the planet. It's kind of this drab, ashy wasteland. If you've ever seen other people play on the other planets, but Vulcanus is a pretty it is a very resource rich environment. Although admitted, as you can see, not quite the resources that we're familiar with non-novice. We got coal. Well, I guess there's one. Calcite and tungsten, I believe, are the three main resources here. And the kind of and while there's no biters on on Vulcanus or any of the other planets for that matter, well, kind of. The there are Vulcanus is kind of guarded by these mammoth worms called demolishers, and we'll be seeing those in a few episodes. But they're pretty easy. I have confidence that we'll be able to handle the demolishers for reasons. And the main gimmick of Vulcanus, besides the giant worms and the lava, is basically it's free resources. Lots of there's kind of two very cool buildings that we can unlock for, namely the foundry and the big mining drill. This is all about generating crazy amounts of resources and basically having reducing the amount of resources needed to make all those crazy amounts of resources. Vulcanus is honestly one of if this is the planet that I'm going to be going to go first, and it is a pretty it's a pretty no-brainer reason for why anyone else would want to go to Vulcanus first. Free stuff is free. Everyone loves free stuff, right? Next we got Fulgora. Fulgora is one of the two planets that Fulgora is one of the two planets that technically don't have enemies on their surface, and which is pretty nice. It's the other planet that I honestly wouldn't be surprised if you went here first. It's a bit tricky if you don't have elevated rails, and when we go to Fulgora, you'll quickly see why I say it's a tricky planet if you don't have elevated railways. But basically, Fulgore is a kind of a it's a kind of a unique thing. It's one of the cool. It's one of the yeah. I want to say unique, but in reality, all the planets are kind of unique in their own ways. So its gimmick is a bit of a in that you know how we take raw materials and turn them into intermediates and then turn them into finished products. Fulgora kind of turns that on its head. There's technically no traditional resource veins on Fulgora. In fact, the only resources that the only tangible raw resource that we have is heavy oil. Lots of heavy oil. In fact, it's oceans of heavy oil. Um, Basically, Fulgora is like the trash planet, as many people call it, where you basically, instead of mining raw resources, you're mining garbage. And the idea is you're taking that garbage and refining it into finished goods, which you then recycle into their ingredients, which you then turn those ingredients back around into new finished products. It's a bit of a cool puzzle, and we're going to be hitting up this. Now you might be the neat part is that you can go to any one of these free planets and be pretty well off. However, if you're new to Factorio Space Age, there's I'm going to say right now, do not go to Gleba first. Do not listen to the videos that say go to Gleba first. And this is not hating on Gleba at all, but Gleba is the farming planet. Remember way back in if you might want to go back to like episode 1 or 2, where I'm basically like going after the first biter bases. You may notice that the fish that we use to heal has a spoilage timer. Do you know where this spoilage mechanic gets relevant? Gleba. Gleba is pain to anyone who is not fully ready to understand the concept of always keeping your belts moving. Because everything on Gleba spoils. Even the science, even the science pack unique to Gleba spoils. Not only that, it's host to a it is host to a whole horde of enemies. Pentapods. They're kind of like spiderish enemies. And they're kind of a bit of a pain in the behind too. They're a bit there's notable things. I'm not saying that Gleba is a bad planet. There's a lot of cool things you can get from Gleba. Namely, we can get the epic quality tier. We can get the Spidertron, the rocket turret, which is basically kind of a necessary weapon we need if we even want to get to the end game. And the biolabs. Oh, the biolabs are The biolabs are pretty cool. But Gleba is not an easy planet to start with. So my game plan is I'm going to go to Vulcanus to get the stuff that we need to make basically infinite anything. Go to Fulgora, get its unique tech to basically revolving around recycling stuff. And then we're going to prepare for Gleba. But all this is can't. So while we're cooking the food, let's talk about making our first spaceship. I know I spent like 15 minutes talking about nothing but. So the first thing we need to do is we're going to be launching up a new space platform. Yeah, we're using the novice space station for our spacefaring craft is fine and dandy, you know. But we're not going to be utilizing. The space station is going to be staying in orbit around Novice. As you can see, I am exporting steel. It isn't a huge lot because I got it spaghetti my way into a single refinery into this build. But it's kind of a way to help alleviate the troubles of the bot wall. So let's launch our. We're gonna call it my first bit. I'm gonna create a better name for this platform. In due time. But we're just gonna call it my first spaceship. We're gonna send that sucker into orbit. As our researches. And here we go. We have a new spaceship. We're going to go ahead and expand our spaceship, create ourselves some room, because I know we're probably going to need it. So, how do we make a spaceship? Good question. I honestly have no idea either. But I have a good idea of how we're going to do it. For starters, it's worth our first route is going to be from Novice to Fang. It's about 15,000 kilometers of travel. Is it a realistic solar system distance? Probably not, but This handy chart kind of tells talks about our asteroid density. And you might notice that starting at novice, we get a lot of these tiny little chunks of that are floating around. They kind of just plink around and harmless looking. They don't have any damage. And, I can almost reuse that rocket for but anyway, going back to our space station. We know for a fact that however, you might notice that along the route we'll see medium asteroids of all three of kinds that we've encountered so far. These asteroids are a bit more of a threat to our platform. They will do damage. And there we go. We got our thrusters. These medium asteroids are have a lot more health. And they're a bit more tanky than therefore it's imperative we Azra, we do need to prepare for our ship for the proper defense. And now that we have our thrusters, we can see how many stack size. We only really need, and thrusters are pretty cheap. So, how do we plan on that? Well, first we need to make a. Obviously, the answer to we're gonna use turrets. Something like this is probably going to be we want kind of a generally full coverage of the, because asteroids will be are a major threat to our So, in addition, we'll want to have some cargo capacity. I'm kind of just spitballing. But and honestly, all pro. I want to make this a bit of a symmetrical just to fix my OCD. So, no, we're gonna make some ammo production. Now, how we're gonna go about that? With some good old-fashioned now, no, the kind of the space platform hub is kind of a massive inventory upon itself. Man, I love how the platform just constructs itself. Ah. And again, we don't need power, like I said before, we don't need power poles. Which is nice, because I don't really care for... how am I going to... Again, I'm kind of just freelancing. I could just copy someone else's ship design, but where's the fun in that? We're gonna create an ammo belt. Alright. So, now that we have our kind of a base of I need to, we're gonna implement our asteroid collectors. And, strange I can, but anyway. Okay, can I please have that? Where is this robot? Oh my god, of course you have to charge. Now I can properly leverage. So why do we want to have the simple? We don't want to. We express purposes of not having to. Resupply our. Ship in space. And I'm definitely going to think about expanding our rocket pad. Oh, power. I almost forgot about that. Of course, this is going to be a design that I'm probably going to be tweaking over and over. But I'm committed to the Alright, and I can kind of talk about Vulcanus. And Vulcanus doesn't have water, oil, or uranium. And I can kind of talk about. So this is Novice. Actually, Novice is kind of Vulcanus is the closest to the. These are what we call the inner planets. Novice being Vulcanus is our other. And Fulgora is a. Let's get the asteroid. We want to loop the asteroid collectors just so we can. Alright. And at the back of the ship, we're probably going to have. Back of our ship is going to be our asteroid. Maintain the continuity of my ammo belt. going to be using solar power because solar in space is going to be really cheap. Now this is probably a bit of an overkill ship to build, but better to build overkill than underkill. Alright. So that's kind of the goal of what I'm getting at, is that we have kind of two loops. The loops that are collecting asteroids from space, and the loops that are keeping ammo on the belt for the gun turrets. Because as we're accelerating through space, we're going to be being bombarded by asteroids that are a lot bigger than these tiny little chunks floating about. They're going to be kind of closer to these size that are floating in the background. And to basically do that, we're basically kind of turning this into self-sustain. A self-sustaining thing. Because as you might notice, the thruster unlocks several recipes. Namely, the thruster and thruster fuel and thruster oxidizer. No, we can't use rocket fuel. Make that make sense. But anyway. Thruster fuel is made by carbon and water. And thruster oxidizer is made from iron ore and water. But all three of these, believe it or not, can be made in space. Now, thanks to recipes like ice melting, where we can turn ice into water, that way we can have water on the. And I'll probably redesign the ship to incorporate But I'll probably have to do once we have enough of the ship built. And I'm probably gonna be making this a multi-part video. You can kind of understand the idea of what I'm thinking. We take the asteroids that we are destroying from the gun turrets, pressing those asteroids into materials like we did on the space station, and using those materials to make fuel for the spaceship, so we don't have to be making fuel willy-nilly, and both making gun. Now, might be wondering why just the firearm magnums? Why just yellow ammo? The simple answer is we don't have a way to make copper in space, and unfortunately, we have to go to Gleba to get copper. Again, incentivizing me to go to Gleba in the first place. So yeah, I'm going to be leaving it here. If you think, so yeah, this is the beginning of my space science endeavor, my spaceship building endeavor. I feel like my me working through my ideas for this spacecraft. Leave a like. If any of you have any, if you want to roast my design, or have any questions or concerns, leave a comment down below. If you want to see me continue to build this Factorio spaceship, hit the subscribe button, and I will see you next time.